Raphael, you know this song, Jaya Radha Madhava? Are you familiar with this song, Jaya Radha Madhava? Can you, there's a booklet somewhere. You got that? Yes. Maybe Naveen, you can help him find him? Today we're celebrating the appearance date of Sachitananda Bhaktivinoda, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is one of the most prominent modern, the term that is used in Sanskrit is acharya. Acharya is a teacher that teaches by example, not only by precept, but by example. So that is the translation of acharya. This word acharya comes from the Sanskrit term of acharet, which means behavior. So it's the saintly behavior. So you teach by saintly behavior. So these are great, great teachers in our lineage. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is arguably the most prominent of the modern teachers, a visionary. So what we right now receive from Srila Prabhupada, the blueprint of everything that we have right now, it can be traced to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was such a visionary. And he basically, his great contribution is that he saved, in one sense, the disciplic succession. Because by the influence of time, the powerful disciplic succession in which Lord Chaitanya appeared and also gave to the world, by the influence of time, that the disciplic succession had declined, not because of the saintly personalities who were part of it, but because of the thick influence of materialism in the world. And Srila Bhaktivinoda's appearance was basically to put again the teachings of Lord Chaitanya in the forefront of spirituality in India. And that work was carried out, continued by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's son, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and took to a new height by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. So, but we're celebrating Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's contribution, which is just incredible. His life is just a very inspiring and a great example for all devotees to aspire and to follow. So I'm going to sing this song. Jaya Radha Madhava was composed by him, and we sing that song every morning when we study the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a tradition that Srila Prabhupada started. And in this song, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave us an entrance to the realm of Vrindavan and the pastimes and the relationship between Radha and Krishna, and also the relationship of Krishna and Mother Yashoda, and Krishna and the land of Vrindavan, the Jamuna and the forest of Vrindavan. Krishna's relationship with Govardhan. So it's a very beautiful song. So we're going to sing like that. Jaya Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Vihari 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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya 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 Girivardhari Jashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana 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 Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari. Vihari. Shishi Radha Madhava ki, Shishi Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki, Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So, this is a little bit of an impromptu lecture. We were with a great hope to have the association of His Holiness Veda Vyasapriya Maharaj, but somehow or other the influence of circumstances and things like that, it didn't happen because of some change, something that to do with the plane, so travel got canceled. So Maharaj will be arriving a little later today. Also, we're going to have the great fortune a little later to have Her Grace Malati Mataji coming, which, is very exciting. She's an amazing personality and one of Prabhupada's first and dear most disciples. So, but I was requested to put something together very quickly on the life of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And I thought just to highlight, and there's one article that was placed long time ago in the Mayapur newsletters about Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's contribution, specifically on the contribution that he had in terms of coming into this world to reestablish the position of the Gaudiya Madhava Sampradaya, or the disciplic succession that was left in this world by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so the importance that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has, and the time also in which Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur appears is a very important time in the history of India, because during that period of time, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared in the 18th century, and during that period of time, India was ruled by the British Empire, and the influence of, it was a very calculated influence of Western culture that was basically, the aim was to change and convert the whole Indian continent into basically be part of the culture, the British culture. So the type of indoctrination and conversion in all levels was part of this whole strategy. And specifically in the realm of religion and in the realm of philosophy, it was a very important work for the British Empire to eradicate, in one sense, and minimize the teachings of the Vedas and the culture, the Vedic culture. So during this period of time, there was a whole, especially from the British Empire, the main religion and the dominant religions was Christianity. So the Christian conversion was very, very strong, especially from the perspective of the scholars. And so to have religion converted more or less, and the presentation of religion was to be in connection or in sync with the Abrahamic type of, revelations, the Bible. So a whole movement of intellectuals from India at that time arise, and it was very much influenced by Western thought and by Western philosophy. And among those, there were very celebrated personalities that, we still remember you in college and high school, we used to study the books of Rabindranath Tagore. Some of you are familiar. He was a great poet, celebrated poet of that period, that also was a winner of Nobel Prizes. Nobel Prizes, a great celebrated poet, part of that whole movement. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared during that period of time, and appeared in a very wealthy family, and he had access to all these different personalities. The brother of Rabindranath Tagore was Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's best friend. And so he was in that circle and brought up with that type of intellect. And thus, he became very familiar with the Western philosophies and way of thinking, and from the intellectual perspective, he was very well read and understood this whole thing. And so when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's pastime in this world fully manifested in terms of his Krishna Bhakti, then that influence, that incredible intellectual powers he used to re-establish the supremacy of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So it's very, very amazing story. And his character, his capacity, and his example is unmatched when it comes, to so many of the greatest personalities that we have in our lineage, which is, quite something. He was known as the seventh Goswamis of. So we have the main teachers in our lineage is the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. He was considered the seventh Goswami, and a very prolific teacher and writer of Gaudiya Vaishnava literature. So one of the things that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was known is that he was a perfect example of how to utilize time for the purpose of self-realization and for the purpose of glorifying Krishna. Srila Sutta Goswami tells us that in the Bhagavatam, when he answers the questions of the sages of Naimisharanya, and Srila Sutta Goswami tells them that the purpose of life is to inquire and to place your time and all your energies in understanding and serving the absolute truth. So, jivasya tattva jigyasha. Nothing else should be the purpose of, to take up anything of the purpose of life. The purpose of life is to dedicate oneself fully to the understanding and the service of the absolute truth. Jivyasya tattva jigyasya narto jasche karma bhi. He tells, nothing else, no other karma, no other work should be. So, kamasya nendriya pritir, that life should not be for the purpose of sense gratification, but should be for this work. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was the highest example of that, because not even a moment when we, in his biography, it is revealed what his daily schedule was. And mindful. He was the father of 10 children, 10 kids. And some of you are parents, 1, 2 kids, and it's a handful. Imagine 10. He was High Magistrate Court working for the British Empire as a top person in the court of this great region in India, in the British Empire. So he was the main person, the main court, main judge. He was also the manager of one of the biggest temples in India. So the temple president of the Jagannath Puri temple. And he was a mentor and a teacher for so many. So he was able to manage all these things and perfectly balance them and be able to deliver the highest result on all of these areas. And one of the things that he was known was by his schedule. So, how can you do all this? Once, one devotee, I think it was His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj, who came to Srila Prabhupada and was pleading to Srila Prabhupada, this is so much work, especially when he was Prabhupada put him in charge of the Mumbai, temple building and management, and being a GVC of India at that time that ISKCON was starting to expand in India. So it was a lot of responsibility. You have to deal with life, with donors and with politicians. So Maharaj was a little overwhelmed, and he comes to Prabhupada and say, Prabhupada, it's so much work, I don't have time for my sadhana. I'm having a hard time. What can I do? So expecting that Prabhupada will say, well, you can take these responsibilities out so you're able to. And Prabhupada's instruction was, you can sleep less. You can cut on your sleep. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was able to do that in perfection. So he used to sleep only 2 hours a day. Now, how can you do that? But he was able to do that. This is his schedule. Now check this out. This was during that period of time between 1874 and 1893. So a good stretch of time in which he had all these huge responsibilities. And this is what he used to do every day. He would take rest from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., so 2 hours. He would sleep like that. Then at 10 p.m., from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., so he would spend a good chunk of time writing literature. He was a prolific writer. He wrote more than 100 books. In general, you see, authors, when they have one book, it's a great accomplishment. And very prolific ones, they may have, as much as 10 books. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote more than 100 books. And not only Bengali, who was his native language, but also in Sanskrit, in English, and in Orishan. And in different levels for different types of people. So he will write books for highly scholarly people, for highly intellectual people, as well as very simple village people. So he was able to adjust for different audiences, and did it so beautifully. When you read some of the literatures of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura, especially for more simple people, and in one sense, you find it, for some of us who are coming to Krishna consciousness and didn't have a background of, Vedic culture, it becomes really accessible. And he used this technique of questions and answers. So he understands the level in which, someone who's trying to understand comes, and he asks a question on that level, and he gives an answer, and questions and answers. So it's amazing, how he covers. And he also wrote hundreds of songs. And in these songs, which was a very simple way, when you sing songs that are in great depth teaching this philosophy, but in a very accessible way, it becomes very accessible. You immediately start to remember, and you memorize and you sing the things, and becomes now second nature, like that. So, and when you meditate in the meanings of the songs, it's just incredible. You give entrance to this very intimate and high level philosophical teachings like that. So he will write from 10 to 4 a.m. and then from 4:30 to 7 he will chant japa. So no 16 rounds, 64. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, at one stage of his life, no 64, but just like, Srila Haridas Thakur used to do, he would chant so many, I can't remember the huge amount of rounds, but it was, 100 and something rounds. 190, 192 rounds later in his life. But, so he would chant japa. 7 to 7:30, he would do correspondence, so he would answer letters. 7:30 to 9:30, he would study the Shastras. 9:30 to 10 a.m., he would bathe and take a simple prasadam. He would hardly eat, actually. Very, very simple diet. And from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., he will go and do his core duties. Now, it is said that he was able to do in one take, during that period of time, he will cover the amounts of court cases that it will take for weeks to other judges. He will do it in one day. It was such a powerful personality. From 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., he would refresh at home. So he would go home and he would, refresh, take a little prasadam and things like that. 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. back to core duties. 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. he would translate Sanskrit Shastras to Bengali. 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. he would bathe, take a simple prasadam, and get ready to bed. And that was every day he would do that. So that's how he was able to balance all these responsibilities and do it in such a wonderful way. So I'm going to read this nice article. I find it inspiring. and also it puts in context the importance of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in what we have received from Srila Prabhupada. So we're very indebted to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and today every day is a nice day, but especially today during the appearance day, we can come close to him and offer our prayers of gratitude, and we seek for his blessings so we may become a very instrumental servant of the mission that he has given us through his divine grace, the ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. So I read. This article is titled Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the Savior of the Disciplic Succession. This was published in the Mayapur Communication newsletter. Quote, so there is a disciplic succession, and the acharyas, they are authorities. Our process of knowledge is very simple. We take it from the authority. We don't speculate. Speculation will not help us to come to the real knowledge. End of quote. Srila Prabhupada's lecture given on September 3rd, 1971 in London. It is the 19th century. The British have already colonized India, and Western influence has already started taking its shape in Bengal. Christianity is seeping slowly into Bengal, and some people are slowly getting influenced by this Abrahamic religion. Synthesis of Christian texts and Upanishadic books are in process. So these are all, especially translations given by Christian scholars on books from the Upanishads. Some of them also you find Bhagavad Gita and all these type of things. So this is going on. And the main thing was to undermine the Vedic religion, the Vedic Dharma, the teachings of the Vedas. So many of the teachings of the Vedas were categorized as imagination or what is the word? Escaped to me. You know what we call the Iliad and the Odyssey? Mythology. Mythology, imagination. So there's a whole, and also for very ignorant masses, like that. So, although they were in touch with this highly deep source of knowledge that not only cover religion, but it cover all aspects of life, from politics to social structure to medicine, science, architecture, everything. The Vedas, were superlative. But the influence of Kali Yuga, enviousness, the search for power, all these type of things, tended to, instead of appreciating the value of all this body of knowledge, dismiss it. The British, along with the Bhadralok was that movement that I mentioned, that of intellectuals, the members of social elite, the members of social elite have already belittled Hinduism and Gaudiya Vaishnavism was no exception. In this period of chaos, a great personality, Kedarnath Datta, took birth amongst the Bhadralok. This great personality was later to be called Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Till what time you have this? Where is Mataji? Till what time we have? $12:15. Okay. Since he has taken birth among the Bhadralok, he had quite a lot of experience with their mentality. Also, he knew the different sects, Shakta, Brahmins, etc. And at the same time, he studied Christianity and Western philosophy. This allowed him to understand their thoughts and how to preach to them differently. In the early 19th century, Gaudiya Vaishnavism was factually detached from the philosophy of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. In the Gaudiya lineage after Baladev Vidyabhushan, for about 100 years or so, preaching was next to nothing. There were very few Gaudiya Vaishnavas who were righteously following the rules and regulations and practicing bhakti, but didn't have much hold upon the general public. A large number of people were following deviant Vaishnava sects, which were propagating incorrect teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They were eating meat and engaging in carnal association, and were considering authentic in their endeavor of passing down the Gaudiya Siddhanta. There were also others, Jai Shishkishor Kishori. There were also others who just chanted Harinam and danced, but had no philosophical understanding of Mahaprabhu's teachings. So this is the environment in which Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared. So the disciplic succession was basically undermined by these deviant sects. They call Apra Sampradayas, which is, they were outside our disciplic succession. And some of the prominent ones were known as Sahajas. And the Sahajas used to take these high esoteric teachings of the Vaishnava scriptures and present them in a very deviant way. So one of the features of these Sahajas was that they will imitate the pastimes of Krishna and the gopis of Vrindavan. And they will dress like gopis, and they will draw in this, they will display all these so-called symptoms of ecstasy. And but at the same time, they won't follow no regulations. They won't do, they follow no principles and no regulations as established by the teachings of our Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So it was and they became the face at that time of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, which was very terrible. So of course, the status of Gaudiya Vaishnavism was hardly hurt by these deviant sects. So, and the influence of the West with this whole intellectual group that was sort of promoting Western thinking as, progressive, and also how strong was this whole culture of caste, the caste system, and especially this Brahmanism that have this understanding that the superiority of different classes, and also this superiority was to be understood by the birth that you take. So if you take birth in a particular class, then you have this supremacy or the superiority. So all these things created this very chaotic sense of identity in India. And so all these clashes were there. And that's when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared and single-handedly basically straightened the whole thing up. So we'll read more a little bit. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was an extraordinary soul. He preached uniquely. At that time, the Gaudiya Sampradaya, or disciplic succession, didn't receive much respect and was looked down upon. But because of his preaching in states like Bengal and Orissa, he brought back the Sampradaya to his original standard. As Srila Prabhupada said, quote, "We should adore, we should worship, because in the modern age he introduced the disciplic succession." End of quote. By accepting Jagannath Das Babaji as his Shiksha Guru, he got connected to the Gaudiya line. This one connection set the wood on fire, and now a great Krishna conscious society exists because of him. He instigated Namahata preaching program. This Namahata was one of the great contributions of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that was the way he was able to reach every village in the region. So he go village to village and establish these Namahata groups. Namahata, Hata means village, and Nama means a village that focus on this Nam Sankirtan, on the glorification, and Sankirtan Yajna. So this is the Namahata, and he established Namahatas in all the villages of the area. So, and then he had this book in which he created a whole system of organization for all these Namahatas. So there was connection, interconnection, and networking. And he have a very systematic, almost like a syllabus for all to follow. So he created all these things with songs, and people will learn, and positions, and leadership, and anyways, it was incredible. It's an incredible mind. He abolished majority of heterodox Vaishnava groups. How you say this? Heterodox? Huh? It's written Heterodox. Heterodox? Anyway, you put up with my Spanglish. Abolish majority of heterodox Vaishnava groups. Philosophically assaulted caste Brahmins. So he went after the caste Brahmins philosophy. This thing that, by birth, you have the right to be in this superior thing. And it's not the teachings of Krishna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, he created this caste system. But this caste system is by guna karma vibhagasa. He says that, this varnas and ashram system, he created. Vanashram, what is it, the verse? Vanashram, something. Guna, karma, vibhagasa. By guna and by karma. by quality and by actions, by activity, is that you are part of a particular division of society, not by birth. Imagine if my father is a surgical doctor, brain surgeon, and then, because he's my father, I claim I also, a qualified brain surgeon. Then it doesn't work like that. I'm sorry, I'm not giving you that chance. Similarly, it's like this. My father is a Brahmin, therefore I'm a Brahmin because he's my father. No, it's by guna and by karma. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur assaulted, it is explained, these philosophies of caste. And therefore, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as well as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, were at the end of these people who actually, some of them wanted to kill them because of how they were dismissing that deviant type of philosophy. Printed canonical Vaishnava texts and penned down various transcendental literatures and explained authentically the life and activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So a lot has been done by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur to preserve this wonderful heritage, and words fall less to glorify him. Even though he have left the mortal world, he still lives in the Vaishnava communities through his wonderful bhajans and books, which explains the Gaudiya philosophy in a succinct and simpler manner. So, it's a wonderful time to connect with Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and pray for his blessings. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also envisioned, it was because of his vision that we in the Western world, people like myself, and actually all of us in one sense, because even to the preaching that Prabhupada did in this Western part of the world, he took that back to India and established, this whole strong movement back to the roots of Gaudiya Vaishnavism in India also. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was the first visionary who translated literature into English and sent it to the West, to universities and different scholars to start to expose the Western world to this great body of knowledge. And it was Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur who prayed to Lord Krishna, to Lord Jagannath, to send him a ray of Vishnu, to send him a great personality who will assist him in fulfilling this vision. Because Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has this vision, it is explained, he described this amazing vision that he had from his place of residence in Mayapur. Is one of the islands. The island is, so the place is called Godrumadweep. So one of the 9 islands in Mayapur, in Navadweep. So Godrumadweep is next to Navadweep. Navadweep is the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as he chanted his rounds in great absorption, looking through his window across the Ganges into the island of Navadweep, Navadweep. He had this vision of a great temple. He called it the Abduta Mandir, the marvelous temple. a gigantic temple that manifested in this field of rice. And in that temple, he had the vision that people from all over the world, Europeans, Americans, Africans, Asians, from all over the world, they were together chanting the names of Jai Sachinandana, the names of Lord Chaitanya. So he prayed for this ray of Vishnu to fulfill this vision. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta appeared, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta took that mission and passed it to Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada fulfilled that mission. And now we see that that great Abduta Mandir is just about to be concluded in the land of Mayapur. And indeed, every year, thousands and thousands of devotees from all over the world, they come together during the festival of Gaupanima in Mayapur, chanting the names of Jai Sachinandana. So, like Prabhupada said, we should worship, honor, and pray for the blessings of Sachidananda, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in not just in his appearance day, but every day, for his blessings, so we may assist Srila Prabhupada in expanding this mission and cover the whole world with Krishna consciousness. I stop here. I think Lila Manjari Mataji. 5 more minutes. Anyone has any thought or question that you want to share with about Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur? Jai Baladev Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hello. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your class. I really appreciated you highlighting Bhaktivinoda Thakur's schedule. Too loud. I really appreciate you highlighting Bhaktivinoda Thakur's schedule, because a lot of times as practicing devotees we say, I have no time. Really? When we read, like you said, he had one kid is enough to have a full schedule. What to speak of 10? He had 10 kids. He had not only just a regular job, like the highest job you can imagine, and somehow or other he wrote 100 books. And not only that, they didn't have any technology then. If you wanted to connect to somebody, you actually had to write a letter, go to the mailing place, which was probably far away. We have email and so many other mediums to connect to people, and we still say, I have no time. So I just wanted to highlight that. There's a nice quote by Dalai Lama. It's called The Paradox of Our Age. And he says, we have bigger houses, but smaller families, more conveniences, but less time. We have more degrees, but less sense, more knowledge, but less judgment, more experts, but more problems, more medicines, but less healthiness. We've been all the way to the moon and back, but have trouble crossing the street to meet the new neighbor. We built more computers to hold more information, to produce more copies than ever, but have less communication. We have become long on quantity, but short on quality. These are times of fast foods, but slow digestion. Tall man, but short character. Steep profits, but shallow relationships. It's a time when there is much in the window, but nothing in the room. End quote. So anyways, I just wanted to share that. Reminded me of...
It's a very good one.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anything else from anyone? Okay, I think Lila Manjari Mataji, should we go to the next part of the program? Maybe. Okay. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Please we are going to offer flowers to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So I'm going to chant Mangalacharan prayers, and after I say Jai, then you can offer the flowers to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Okay. So I hope you all got the flower petals. Please repeat after me. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gnananjanam Shalukaya Chakshur Ulmitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunata Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakamsya Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Sri Vashabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhurojjala Premadya Sri Rupanuga Bhaktida Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Sri Murte Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddhapa Apasiddhanta Dvantaharine नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्ब रसाम्बोधे पादाम्बुजायते नमः। नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानंद नामिने गौरशक्ति स्वरूपाय रूपानुग वरायते गौराविर्भाव भूमिस्त्वं निर्देश सज्जनप्रियः वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। वाञ्छाकल्प तरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधु एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। जयतां सुरतो पंगोर मम मंदिर मतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्व पदाम्बोजो राधा मदनमोहनो दिव्याद् वृन्दारण्यां कल्पा द्रुमादः श्रीमद् रत्नागारा सिंहासनस्थो श्रीमद् श्रीराधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेवो प्रेष्ठाभिः स्वेयमानो स्मरामि। श्रीमान् रासरसारम्भे वंशी तथा ततस्थितः कर्षन् वेणोर् स्वनैर्गोपीर् गोपीनाथा श्रेयस्तुनः तप्तकाञ्चना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो भक्तिविनोदाय साक्षात् सच्चिदानंद ननामिने गौरशक्ति स्वरूपाय रूपानुगा वरायते। एष पुष्पांजलिं समर्पयामि। श्रील भक्तिविनोद ठाकुर की। नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्ति स्वरूपाय रूपानुगा वरायते एष पुष्पांजलिं समर्पयामि। श्रील भक्तिविनोद ठाकुर की। नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानंद नामिने श्री गौरशक्ति स्वरूपाय रूपानुगा वरायते एष पुष्पांजलिं समर्पयामि। श्रील भक्तिविनोद ठाकुर की।
नवीन प्रभु माता जी संसार दावानललीढलोका त्रणय कारुण्य घन घनत्वं संसार दावा संसार दावानललीढलोका त्रणय कारुण्य घन घनत्वं संसार त्रणय कारुण्य गण प्राप्तस्य कल्याण गुणनवश्य वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणरविन्द प्राप्तस्य वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणर महाप्रभु कीर्तन नित्य गीता वदृत माद्य मनसरसेन महाप्रभु के वदित्रमादन रोमांचकांप सतरंग भाजो वंदे गुरु श्री चरणारविंद रोमांचकांप सतरंग भाजो वंदे गुरु श्री श्री विग्रहाराधन नित्य नामना श्रृंगारतन्मन्दिरमार्जनाद श्री विग्रह श्रृंगारतन्मन्दिरमार्जनाद युक्तस्य भक्ता सनियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणरविन्द युक्तस्य भक्ता सनियुञ्ज चतुर्विधा श्री भगवत साद साधन तृप्ता हरिभक्त संग चतुर्विधा श्री कृतेव तृप्ते भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणरविन्द कृतेव तृप्ते भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरो श्री चरण श्रीराधिका माधवयर पार माधुर लीला गुणरूप नाम्ना श्रीराधिका माधुर लीला प्रतिक्षण सदनललोपस्य वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणरविन्द प्रतिक्षण निकुंजय नारत केली शेढे यायली गाते जनित बलाचायती रत केली शेढे यायली गाते तत्रादिदाक्षरतिबलवस्य वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणरविन्द तत्रादिद श्री साक्षाद्धरितेन समस्त शास्त्रे उक्तस्तभावत एव सघे साक्षाद्धरितेन किन्तु प्रभोर प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणरविन्द किन्तु प्रभोर वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणरविन्द यश प्रसाद भगवत प्रसाद यस्य प्रसाद नगति कतोपि यस्य भगवत् प्रसाद यस्य प्रसाद नगति गायस्तु वास्तस्य यस्य त्रिसङ्गा वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्द गायस्तु वास्तस्य वन्दे गुरु श्री चरण वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्द वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्द वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्द वन्दे गुरु श्री वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्द वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्द वन्दे गुरु श्री भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर भक्ति विनोद जय भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर जय भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर भक्ति विनोद भक्ति नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नित्यनामिने नमः भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नित्यनामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादे पश्चात्तदशतारिणे नमस्ते सरस्वती गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे पश्चात्तदशता जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री श्रीवासद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य श्री अद्वैत ओ हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभु जय जय प्रभुपा जय जय प्रभुपा जय हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 किशोर किशोरी हरे राम 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 हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 ओ हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओ हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo bolo bolo, Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Bolo bolo Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Jaya Kishore Kishori Jaya Kishore Kishore Jaya Kishore Kishori Jaya Kishore Oh Jaya Jagannath ओ जय जगन्नाथ स्वामी जय जगन्नाथ ओ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा ओ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा ओ जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी ओ नयन पथगामी भाव तुम्हें ओ हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय ओ निताय गौरांग निताय गौरांग जय निताय गौरांग जय निताय गौरांग ओ प्रभुपाद 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 ओ प्रभुपाद 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 ओ भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद ओ जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय हरि बोल
निताई गौर प्रेमानंदी हरि हरि बोल। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत शिष्यमाद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत